if you wanted to, like those people in Leavenworth that wanted you to get through this stimulus, how can you do that in Congress when you have the Republicans who don't want to do it?
So repeat the question again. So like I was able to see the people in Leavenworth.
The businessmen you spoke to wanted the stimulus package because it gives them business. How can you do this in Congress when you have Republicans on the other side who don't want to do a stimulus?
So I think that, first of all, we need to ensure that our Senate changes. We need to add a few seats to the Senate to make sure, like Barbara Bollier, that we're able to have common sense people that are willing to work across the aisle. But here's the deal. I don't think that our Republican brothers and sisters are bad. I think that they are concerned and they haven't heard from smaller businesses the needs that they are saying that they want to see. So what I would recommend is, first of all, gathering data and doing surveys to small business owners that are right here in our communities and asking them what is more important to them. When I sat with the individuals I sat today, I mostly asked questions. I didn't give any spiel. I just asked, what do you think is needed? How do you feel that we are able to move forward? What are the things that would help you most? And they were the ones that said that. And I think that once they start hearing from their own small businesses that this is what they need, and they start engaging their local chambers and their local communities, I think that we'll see a change. Not with everybody, but I think that the common sense individuals on the other side that are interested in doing right will come together. But right now, we need to first sit back at the table and talk, and that's not happening. So we have to figure out ways to talk across the aisle. Thank you. Thank you for your question.
I'm a married gay man who sees a Supreme Court about to destroy my rights, including my marriage. What can Congress do to stop that at this point?
You know, I think that is the million-dollar question. His question was, he's a gay man, and he's concerned about the Supreme Court. And just so that you know, my best friend is gay, my daughter is gay, so trust me, this is personal. This is a personal one for me. I think that Congress right now is trying to figure out how to reason with the Senate. We need 2 more votes in the Senate. And I would dare to guess that there's a lot of people, both from Congress and the Senate, trying to figure out who are 2 other votes that they can get to stop that swearing in of Miss Amy. These are difficult times. I mean, he is a prime example of what we are up against. We have come so far in our country to create an environment of belonging. And right now, the fact that his marriage and the legitimacy of his relationship is put into question just makes me sad, because that's not who we are. So I would think that right now, and this is not going to be something that's going to happen before I get there, this is part of the things that I need all of you to write to your senator. I need all of you to call your members of Congress and ask them to figure out a way of stopping this. And that's the only recourse that we have, because once she's sworn in, it's going to be very difficult. So the game on that is now. Now, call, write, advocate. If this is not what you want, if you want to have the same standard that President Obama had to, uphold, months before the election, he was not allowed to nominate somebody. Well, guess what? That should be the same standard. But make sure that you're advocating now. And I'm sorry that you're struggling with this.
Hello, Michelle. I am a student here at the University of Kansas. My name is Brenna Darley. And in the state of Kansas specifically, the supermajority has voted against Medicaid expansion, and all of the money that the federal government has given us to provide that Medicaid expansion for people from my hometown who are literally dying in their recliners because they cannot have access to medicine. When Kamala Harris in the most recent vice presidential debate said, "People under 26 are coming for you," I got chills down my spine. How in the world Are we supposed to have hope? And my direct question to you is, how can you, as a future representative in our U.S. Congress, leverage your power to be sure that the supermajority, and hopefully we flip it, but the supermajority gets us what we need?
So first, that's a great question, and it's legitimate. It's a very legitimate question. I mean, these are the issues in this election. Even though it's a state issue for the expansion of Medicaid, I think that the first thing that we need to do is advocate with our local legislators. Like you saw Tom Holland that was speaking and creating, we have Marcy Francisco here, there she is, and making sure they already did the work. And here's the sad part. I want to tell you that there is hope, and here's why there's hope. There's hope because Governor Kelly, in her infinite wisdom and astounding bipartisanism, was able to work to ensure that we have that. It was one person. One person, she gabbled herself in and pulled all the work that had been done. She won't be there. So, just don't, I tell you, I think that aside from us, as a member of Congress and as a citizen in this state, a resident of the state, will advocate with my local Shawnee County delegation and all of the other delegations to make sure that we pass this. I think that you'll see that it's going to pass this year. I think that the biggest roadblock is not going to be there anymore. Just know that be careful because she was talking already about gerrymandering. So the best thing that we can do is vote. And guys, I mean this. The most important thing that we could do is make sure that Governor Kelly has good allies. We need to make sure that Governor Kelly gets people that are willing to understand the needs of people and stand up for what is right. And we need to ensure that Medicaid expansion passes. And I believe that it'll happen next year. I believe in Governor Kelly, and I will be advocating alongside you. Hello.
Hello, Michelle.
Hello, my friend.
I got a big question for you.
Yes, sir. Tell everybody your name.
My name's Cole Brown, Precinct 14.
Yes.
Oh, man, look how strong this microphone is.
It's okay.
My question is, how do you feel about hiring disability people to work for you?
I think that it's important for us to have inclusivity everywhere. Everywhere. And I think that that's one of the areas that people forget about. Disabilities are part of inclusion. People often talk about the ethnic diversity, but it's important that we talk about ability diversity. And absolutely, it's important that we consider, the best person, and that we also consider people with issues with developmental and any sort of disability that we have. I know we all love Cole, right? Other questions?
Michelle, so good to see you. In person, I saw you in Washington State last night. I'm Juan Barrett Gonzalez, and I'm wondering, when you get elected, there are so many things that the Republicans and the administration just throw over. We've we're on our way to a 250,000 dead Americans. We've got millions unemployed. We've got homophobia, sexism, racism, et cetera, on and on. When you get elected, can you tell us your priorities or the things that you will push to help make this nation better and help fix the things that are broken?
So the first thing is healthcare and education. I think that education is the cure for a lot of the phobias that we see. So that's why I am all about preserving our public education, developing programs for early childhood education, and making sure that it's in the public school system without us talking about this nonsense of, funding private schools. There's a reason that private schools are private schools, right? And if they're going to receive federal funds, then they should be living up to the same values of the federal government, of inclusion. So education, but my number one issue is it has to be healthcare and COVID. if we want to be able to talk about everything else that we want to address, we need to make our country healthy again. We need to make sure that we have this virus under control. We need to ensure that families are able to have adequate quality health care, so that then we could get past where we're at to start tackling the myriad of things. And I tell you, you would be amazed at what a change in leadership does for sentiment. And I think that that's clear enough for everybody. Yeah, sure. All right, here we have somebody else coming up.
Michelle,
I love your shirt.
Oh, well, thank you.
Tough enough to be a mom. Yes.
I hope everybody understands that this shirt is worn in all respect for the moms who put out all the effort to support your election and all the other Democrats and all the other gun sense candidates. The main issue, an issue that I'd like to talk about is kind of long term, but it has to do with our sources of energy.
Mhm.
And I wonder if you think that renewable energy has a place in Kansas politics that you can take to the national level.
Absolutely. So Kansas is third in our country in wind energy production. That's something to clap about. I think that we are in desperate need of investment in research and storage. There's two things that really worry me when we talk about clean energy. The first thing that worries me about clean energy is equity. Typically, the families that are more affluent are the ones that are able to have the solar panels, and therefore the families that probably need it most to have a clean environment are the ones that don't have it. When I was working at Evergy, one of the things that I used to talk about was community solar. So like if we could partner with a neighborhood and there's houses that are dilapidated, and why don't we just build a fence and have like a whole bunch of panels in one or two of those lots, and then you're able to power that neighborhood. But in order for that to be long-term sustainable, we need the storage capacity. The other thing that I'm very passionate about is ensuring that we're able to continue providing subsidies and R&D for the reduction of the cost of the solar panels. Those are expensive, as well as the turbines. So the reason that Kansas has as many as it has is because we took advantage of the subsidies. And now we don't have that anymore. So we need to make sure that we bring that back so that we continue building on that. The one thing that I will say is, we will never, until we have enough storage capacity, we will never be able to completely divorce from coal and gas. And it's because those two things are constant that we can just like fire up, but we need to work towards eliminating it and reducing the impact in our country and in the world, period. So investment, to me, the other thing that I think that I'm advocating for, that I talk about all the time, let's figure out how to do research on storage at the transmission level, so that as we are generating from these turbines all this energy, we are able to store it, and that's going to be the inflection point in which we'll be able to start going more into clean energy. So absolutely, I'm very proud of the fact that I used to work at a utility. I understand the language, understand the challenges that the utilities have, and there's ways to make this a win-win for the utilities, because if you start creating programs in which you're incentivizing municipalities to transition into an electric fleet, that's one way of supporting. And that helps the revenue and the usage go up for the utilities as well. If you're able to start working with neighborhoods, and as the code starts changing, as it becomes more affordable, making sure that there's battery packs in homes as part of the code. So there's a lot of things that we could be doing, but absolutely huge advocate for cleaner energy.
You mentioned storage, you mentioned battery packs. What other kind of storage is available?
I don't know right now. I know battery packs are a big deal, and like I said, I'm thinking that we should be figuring out ways of, in the substations, having some sort of storage at that level, because that would be impactful. That would be big energy that we'd be able to store and be able to share. And if you imagine doing that at substations across the nation in the SPP, which is our pool of energy, that would help us really start moving away. But the only thing that I know of right now is batteries.
Matter of fact, in Germany, he had a battery pack in his basement.
That's awesome.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
I'm Rachel. And first, thank you for being here, and thank you for being our next representative.
Thank you.
And looking forward to that. I work for the federal government, and we're required to have sensitivity training, we call it.
Oh, the president took care of that.
Yeah, I know. We can no longer talk about white supremacy. We can no longer talk about the things about slavery that built this country. The 1619 project is no longer, we can't, that the New York Times developed. We can no longer talk about that. That's the first thing. He's also established quite a record on transphobia, homophobia, misogyny, and that is trickling down through Congress and even down into our state legislatures. Is there anything you can do to get rid of the white supremacy, to keep us, so that we learn about it, and anything that you can do to get rid of the transphobia, misogyny, and homophobia?
So, Rachel, right?
Yes.
Rachel, that's a tall order. I told you that I was going to be really honest with you, and one of the things that I often tell people is I would never want to be anybody's hero, because I can't.
I know.
But here's what I can tell you. Like I shared earlier, my daughter is LGBTQ+.
Right.
And to me, that's personal. And what we do, there's a reason, if you notice, that part of my remarks included the things that we're not supposed to say. We talk about the things that we need to talk about. Guys, this is where I need all of you. Your democracy was made by you, for you. You cannot look at your leaders and hope. Yes, your leaders should model those values and those behaviors. But I need all of you to stand up and be an ally. I need all of you to be able to have these conversations about compassion, about belonging, about unity. And when we see something wrong, kindly tell people, help me understand where you got that idea. Help me understand where you're at. Where do your fears emerge from? Help me understand where you're at so that I can understand it and maybe share with you a little bit of my story. What you're asking for will change when we have a change in leadership.
Vote.
And that's what I was going to say, which means that I need all of you to vote like your life and your values depended on it, because it does. It does. So this is supposed to be the last question. And I want you guys to pause with me for a second. We've had 2 members of the LGBTQ+ community come up and speak from their heart. Do you know the vulnerability that it takes for them to stand up here in front of you? Please give them both a round of applause. Thank you. I see you. I'm with you. We heard them. We heard a young woman going to KU saying how she is terrified that she's going to lose her health care. We heard questions about the environment and how we're going to keep this planet moving. Guess what were the things that we did not hear about? Any of the political poppycock that we're being fed in the media. These are the issues that matter. The people who spoke are the people who matter. All of you who are here matter. But in order for us to change all this, you need to vote. This is not a drill. This is not a let me think about it. You need to vote and engage others to vote with you. Because we alone cannot do this. We need you to make us strong. We need you to stand by us. We need you to say, this is wrong. And you know what? She's right. We're going to advocate against this. And by the way, if anybody ever had any doubt, white supremacy sucks. Yeah. So I want to thank all of you for taking an opportunity of being here tonight, making my night so special, seeing all of your beautiful faces, hearing your questions. It's always great to see Cole. And I look forward to all of you showing Kansas on November 3rd, and we won't even have to wait a day or two, because the votes are going to be so clear that Kansas knows that we were all fired up and that we were ready and we voted. So thank you all. Have a great evening.